And so I really just wanted to find other Black people, other people of color, other queer people to talk to about country music. That was my only goal. And now here I am talking to all of you guys. So thank you all for being a part of the conversation.
This is Live at the Hall from the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. This week, Stefano Zimmer sits down with Holly G., the Kentucky Gentleman, Nikki Morgan, Aaron Vance, and Julie Williams for some riveting performances and a conversation about the Black Opry.
So, as their bio reads, the Black Opry is a home for Black artists and Black fans of country, blues, folk, and Americana music. Country music has been made by and loved by Black people since its conception. For just as long, they have been overlooked and disregarded in the genre by fans and executives, and the Black Opry wants to change that. They invite you to discover, support, and enjoy the artists that make magic in this space. And their Black Opry Revue showcases the diversity in sound and stories that Black artists offer to these genres. So Holly began the Black Opry as a website in April of 2021, and within its first year grew into a showcase series and a full organization that now has a co-director, Tanner Davenport, and also an admin assistant. And you said earlier more than 200 artists in contact with you guys?
Yeah, I stopped counting at 200 maybe about 4 months ago. But I mean, even since we've been here at Americana Fest for the past 2 days, I've had about 15 artists reach out to me on social media as they begin to be exposed to what we're doing. So there's so many artists out there. We're just trying to get our hands on all of them.
Within just the last week, they were mentioned in a BuzzFeed story. Tressie McMillan Cottom mentioned them in an interview she did with the Nashville Scene. So, I mean, things are really, really just on the rise and keep rising.
Yeah, it's insane. Every time sometimes I'll get emails and I'm like, there is no way these people are talking to me. The invite to come here was one of those moments where we were like, are we sure we got the right
right
people? Yeah. So it's just really cool to see how everything grows and all the opportunities we get. We're really excited.
So Holly, I was hoping we could start and just talk a little bit about your personal country music fandom and sort of your history with the genre, what made you love it, how you got into it, and what made you kind of get to the point where you wanted to start the Black Opry.
Yeah, I'm just like a country music super fan. And it's weird. It doesn't come from anywhere. I don't really have country music fans in my family, and I wasn't friends with anybody that liked it. But that was the music that I connected with the most. And so that's what I sought out and tried to make myself a part of. But the problem was when I looked in the music videos and at the concerts and, you know, just in the culture in general, I did not see people that looked like myself. And even a step further than that, the people that were within that genre, there are a lot of times where people that are outside of that box can be made to feel unsafe just by some of the way that the culture operates. But I compartmentalized that for a long time, and I said, I like the music, and so I'm just gonna ignore the bigger issues with the industry. And, you know, when the country started having those really heavy conversations about race back in 2020, I just decided I didn't want to consume country music in a way that was harmful anymore. And so I started looking for more diverse ways to experience country music, and I couldn't find any. There were no publications that covered artists of color. The mainstream publications only covered 4 artists of color, the same 4 artists. Emerging artists that were trying to make country music that were people of color were not giving any attention at all. And so the Black Opry seemed like something that should have been there all along. And so I just kind of put it together.
Did you have a journalism background? I know you wrote
No,
about hip-hop
I have
a
no
little bit.
background I should not be doing this.
Okay.
I got real lucky, and you know, I continue to just get lucky. I think because I'm so passionate about it, it makes it easy to learn the skills that I need to be successful at the things that I get the opportunities to do.
Well, and I also had the pleasure of working with Holly as one of my writers at a previous job, and you ask a lot of questions, and you're not afraid to ask those questions.
Well, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Like, everybody that I've met like in the industry has been so gracious about like helping to educate me, which I really appreciate, because I feel like if we are going to change something and make it better, like you have to understand it first. And so I do ask a lot of questions because I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of things so that we can figure out where the problems are and how to adjust those.
So, you started the site in April of 2021. And I know pretty quickly you kind of got in contact with Reese Palmer, who I think
Yes.
was really helpful.
Yeah, when I started looking into what diverse country music looked like, the first person that I found that was starting to make those waves was Reese Palmer. And Twitter is like my weapon of choice. And so I just kind of like tweeted her into submission. And finally she was like, okay, we can be friends. And she has not only just been a friend, but a mentor. And, you know, I watch everything that she does and the way she treats people. And I take so much of that and implement that into the way that I work with my artists.
So how did you start finding, the early artists that you sort of started to work with to make Black Opry a thing?
So I would look on like social media and YouTube, and one of the really cool ways to find diverse artists, if you take, I would take a Luke Combs song and search Luke Combs covers, and I would just scroll until I saw a face that looked different. We did that, search the country music hashtags on social media, and just find people that looked a little bit different than what we're usually seeing. And eventually, like once I found about 30 artists, I posted one artist a day for 30 days. And by the end of that 30 days, I did not have to work as hard to look for artists because they saw what was happening and they were coming to me.
I think that part's really interesting, that it's not that there was a lack of people, it's that maybe people didn't know there were other people doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's really like fascinating. People will ask me all the time, like, how are all of your artists that good? Well, it's because the 100 best white country music artists in the country right now are booked and busy, and they don't have time to answer the phone because everybody's calling them. The 100 best Black country artists have nothing to do. So I'm the only person that's calling these folks. And so my hope is that once people see how talented they are, I always tell them, I want you to be able to tell me no. I want to call you and say, can you play the show? And I want the answer to be, no, I'm booked, I'm on tour. Because their talent is just so wide and deep. They deserve bigger stages.
So you were doing that for about 5 months. And again, too, this is April of 2021. So vaccines are sort of still being introduced and they're new. And Americana Fest last year was really, I know, a turning point because it was kind of the first time you guys could gather in person.
Yeah, it was really, really cool last year for us to all, especially after coming out of quarantine. Everybody was making these digital connections. And so actually the reason we came to Americana Fest is my big thing is I listen to the artists. I feel like as a fan of music, you're gonna get the best experience when the artists that are making it are really, really happy. And so everything that I do is guided by the needs of the artists. And so I asked them, the Black artists that I was working with, I said, what is your experience with Americana Fest? And they said, well, sometimes we do get asked to play showcases, and that's really nice because that doesn't happen with all the fests. But the problem is once we walk off the stage, nobody speaks to us. We don't get invited to the networking and the brunches and, you know, just the hanging out at the house. And so all the connections that the white artists were making that were able to propel their careers forward after the conference, they didn't have access to that. And so I said, okay, well, let's do it ourselves. So we got an Airbnb and we use that as our networking space. And, you know, from that, I've had, you know, Joy Clark came to the house, and she's now on tour with Allison Russell. And those are connections that started at the house. So many of the artists met each other and started writing together, have gotten managers and booking agents, and just from having access to a space where they were safe and welcome and could connect with people.
So one of the people that was at Americana Fest last year is sitting right next to you, is Aaron Vance. Yes. As he mentioned, he is from Mississippi. He began coming to Nashville in 2012 and moved here in 2014. He's released 3 albums so far, including Cabin Fever in 2021, also 2 EPs, as well as some other singles. And he is also an alum of the Acoustic Guitar Project, which includes a performance here at the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to hand it over to Holly and Aaron. I'm hoping you guys can kind of talk us through, Aaron, what you sort of experienced when you found Holly in the Black Opry House at Americana Fest. Holly, kind of what your first impressions were of him as an artist, and if you want to play us a song.
So one of my favorite moments from last year was when Aaron walked in the door and watching his face like completely, like a huge look of shock to see all of these other Black people that were dressed like him. That was probably my favorite moment. What were you thinking when you walked in and you finally saw your people?
I'm not alone. I'm not by myself. Hallelujah. Thank God. I was like, man, where y'all been, man? Yeah. It was a sight for sore eyes, but I felt really good. I felt at home. Yeah, it's like a long time coming. It's really amazing. Every day I go to work and get up and write a song or something like that, I think about, man, I ain't got nothing going on this weekend. Let me holler and see what's up. And it's been a great ride. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made that Nashville Scene cover. You
Yeah,
know,
he was on the cover of Nashville Scene.
Yeah, we all are.
That was in
You know, just a year ago.
Yeah,
year and a
that
half
was in
ago,
February. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about what your relationships have been like with the people that you met at the house last year?
Great, strong. I got a song written with Roberta Lee. Tyler Bryant got a song written with him. Me and Nikki supposed to get together and get one going too. It's been everybody that I know that I met at the Black Opry. We're like brother and sister. It's like family. It's from the moment I met everybody here. It's been like that. I just the other day I was going to we was over in North Carolina, and we were traveling with Julie here. We all were me, Tyler, and some other. You know, we did the Michigan run.
Oh, the Michigan run.
And
yes.
so whenever we pass a state line, we all say, woo! Yeah.
I taught them that. My family does that. And
Yeah.
the first time I went, woo, they were like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I was like, by the end, you'll do it too.
Yeah, so we do it. And so the other day, I was taking my daughter down to my mother's house for the week, and we passed the Tennessee-Alabama state line, and she was back there eating something. I was like, woo! She jumped. I was like, so it's been like that. So it's
What song are you going to play for us today?
Set the Tone.
This is my favorite. I make him play this every time he walks into the house.
Yeah. Set the tone. Timing is everything. I play a Epiphone hummingbird, and just the other day the string broke, and so I'm playing this Takamine, and I actually played this Takamine during. I had this Takamine during the acoustic guitar project, and this song was written for this event, pretty much. You might as well say. And the acoustic guitar project. It's called Set the Tone. I hadn't really cut this yet. 1, 2, 3. So I got this guitar from the acoustic guitar project with a lot of signatures on there, autographs of a lot of artists that written the song on that guitar. Took that guitar January 2nd to my RCA studio. I wrote this. I've been in boots since I was a boy, tapping my toes in time since the age of 4. Yeah, they look good with everything they wore, and I set the tone, yeah. It blew my mind when she walked in. I wanted to see her again and again. So I slid $1 in that jukebox and took her by the hand, and I set the tone. Well, I set the tone. You gotta get the good while the getting is good. Trust your heart to do the way it should, and it should, yeah. Set the tone. So I wrote those 2 verses. It took me about 25 minutes. Everything I write is real talk. My first pair of boots was age 4. My dad's a preacher. My granddad was a farmer. 4 brothers, 4 sisters my daddy have. I grew up doing the same thing. I learned how to farm. I learned how to pick peas and all that good stuff. Purple hole and everything you can think of. I stuck my hands on, fingers on eggplants. Anything you name up in the garden, I did it. Come back after a break and wrote this. Yeah, but this guitar Well, it came my way, and I just listened to what it had to say. It said, pick me up, oh, if you wanna play, just set the tone. So I set the tone. You gotta get the good while the getting is good, and the getting's all good. Trust your heart to do the way it should, and it should, yeah, set the tone. You gotta set the tone. No matter what you do in life, set the tone by listening to your heart. It's gonna be the right way every time. I've been in boots since I was a boy, tapping my toes in time since the age of 4. Thank you.
So we talked a little bit about sort of the community that I think really got built during Americana Fest last year. And one of the things that came out of that is the Black Opry Revue.
Yes.
How did that start?
So last year, we had the house and everybody was coming to the house, and it was really cool because what ended up happening was that we created it as a safe space for Black people, but there were so many people from other communities that came and joined us because they needed a safe space too. So we had this house full of this like diverse group of people, and they would sit every day and just like play songs from probably like 7 o'clock at night to like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like they just could not stop because everybody was just so happy to be around each other. So Lizzie No, one of the artists that was there, had a show 5 days after Americana Fest, and the person that she was playing the show with ended up having to back out. And so she called me and she said, why don't we do what we did at the house on the stage? Do you think some of the artists would go? And within 20 minutes, I had 5 of them that were like, let's drive to New York. And so this was 5 days after we left. The show was 5 days after that. So 10 days total between Americana Fest and this show. We announced it and it almost sold out in those 5 days. And so we went and we did that show. And upon announcing that show, I got a flood of messages from venues like, we didn't know you guys did shows. Can you come do a show here? And as I said, I am not the person that probably you would think would have done this. I have no background. I had no clue. They were saying words I hadn't heard before. And I was like, we do want to come, but let me Google this first to make sure. And so we were really, really fortunate that Virginia Prater from Prater Day Booking in Knoxville, Tennessee, agreed to take us on as a client. And since taking us on in December of 2021, she has booked us over 60 dates for 2022, and we are booked well out into 2023.
And Holly has given me hints about some of the things they're doing in 23, and it's pretty awesome, including, do you want to tell them what you just announced yesterday? This is this year, but.
Yeah, so there's this little band from the Fallon show called The Roots. And they called me and I almost missed it. Well, they DM'd me on Instagram and I thought it was spam, and I sent it to Virginia and I was like, ha ha, somebody, the Roots want us to play. And she was like, girl, if you don't email them back. And so within like 2 weeks, this was literally just like 2.5 weeks ago. And yeah, October 15th in Huntsville, Alabama, we are taking 3 artists down to play with The Roots. So we're very excited.
You mentioned this a little bit, but you know, this was not part of your original vision.
I literally just wanted to find other people to talk to about country music. I've been like in this bubble by myself, loving it for so long, and like just the community that I was in was very like, everybody was into like top 40 stuff, and I'm like, but Miranda Lambert, please just listen to Gunpowder and Lead one time. And so it was just very frustrating to me to like love something so much and not be in community with people. And so I really just wanted to find other Black people, other people of color, other queer people to talk to about country music. That was my only goal. And now here I am talking to all of you guys. So thank you all for being a part of the conversation.
again, I think it just speaks volumes about how much of a need there was for that. That
Absolutely.
you know, this thing that was so personal to you was clearly so personal to everyone else too.
Well, that was the thing. We all thought we were the only one. That's why Aaron was so shocked when he walked in the room, because as a Black person, if you have an interest in country music, you are like looked at it like a little bit of an alien. So I can imagine what it's been like for them to play country music. We just have always been told we're the only one. And so it has been so beautiful to find each other and realize that there's so much strength in our numbers, and those numbers are, I don't want to say they're growing, they're being discovered. We've all loved country music for a very long time. This is not new to any of us. It's not new to, I mean, Aaron talks about his family. You know, for some of these people, this is generational. And so it's just really, really refreshing now to be able to enjoy that openly and hopefully be well received by the people that see that we now want to participate.
So next to Aaron is Nikki Morgan. She was one of the artists who played some of those early Black Opry shows. I think if we did this right, your first show was in February at City Winery in Chicago?
Yeah.
Hey, we got
Yes.
it. So again, I'm going to hand it over to Holly. I'd love for you guys to talk about, again, Nikki, sort of how Holly found you, how you found Black Opry, your experience with it so far, and what it was like at those early shows. And I should also mention, I got to give you a bio. Nikki's a North Carolina native. She began performing in Chicago. She's opened for Jamie Wyatt, Sean Watkins, and some others too.
So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but one of the most powerful things that you can do to help, you know, some of these artists is speak their name in a room. And so I'm very intentional about when I book one artist, I ask them who else they know. So that way we can create those connections that lift everybody up. And I booked an artist named Nathan Graham for the show in Chicago. And I said, who do you know? Bring me your friends. Like, let's all do this together. And he recommended Nikki Morgan. And I listened to like 15 seconds. I was like, oh yeah, she can sing. She's good. And she got on that stage, and I have not let her get off since. So do you want to tell them what that show was like? That was a blizzard.
It was so much snow. And Kentucky Gentlemen, y'all drove up, y'all were skidding in the snow, but we did it, and it was such a beautiful energy. I remember being backstage and walking into the room and being like, oh crap, I don't, like, not even conscious of it, but in the moment I realized I don't think I've ever been in a green room with this many Black people. And it was so cool. I was nervous at first because it was like, oh my gosh, I've never been in a room with this many Black people, like a green room with this many Black people. But it was just such a beautiful camaraderie right from the jump. It was great. And on stage, it was like even better because it's like, oh my gosh, these people are so good.
So we perform our shows kind of like what you see here, obviously without the conversation piece, but they perform in writers' rounds, which is typically something that's, you know, centered in Nashville. So it's really interesting to watch other parts of the country discover that. What draws you to keep coming back? Because as an artist, you would think you would want to play by yourself. Why do you enjoy playing in the review style shows?
I enjoy it because, for one, for me, I enjoy watching people express their art and express their artistic voice. And as you can see, if you've been to a review show or familiar with Black Opry at all, you know that each of the artists has their own very unique individual style. And that's the beautiful thing about music, about country music, and about Black Opry. And that's really like one of my favorite things. I was taught at an early age that what you put in is what comes out, whether you're mindful of it or not. And so I have heard the influence of Aaron and Julie and like just interacting with people, even if it's like playing a show with somebody and hearing the way that they sing. Like I can be like a bit of a sponge in that way. And I have even seen those influences come out in my own music, which is really nice. Yeah.
What are you going to sing for us today?
I'm gonna sing a new song. So if you're talking about projects, I have a few albums out, a couple of EPs. But last month in August, I went and camping, solo primitive camping, you know, the kind where you don't have electricity or anything. And I hid away in a house and just worked on some writing and some recording. And this is one of the songs that kind of was finished. This song has been a couple of years in the making, but it kind of came together on that time. And so if you go on my website, Miss Nikki Morgan, you'll see that I have started this kind of like limited series blog, recounting the time. And so this is a part of that. The project is called Songs from Wilson Creek, but this song is called 24 Hours. Standing in line, getting my working hours growing. Baby, in time, you'll see why it's my time to shine. Oh, the days grow long, but the road seems longer. Lessons learned, so I'm getting stronger. I'm prone to learn, but I'm getting older now. See, I got 24 hours and not enough time to get it right. Oh, I've working my grind and spending my dime 1,000 times. And I wonder, will my change ever come? 'Cause I got 24 hours and not enough time to get it right. Now tell me why you're feeling abused. See, I got stories for you, baby. And I don't know why, but I'm bound to fly away. Oh, so just take me with you. We'll paint the picture. Think of all the things I told you. 'Cause I need closure, so think it over soon. Oh, I got 24 hours and not enough time to get it right. Oh, I've swallowed my pride and broken my stride too many times. And I wonder, will my change ever come? 'Cause I got 24 hours and not enough time to get it right. Oh, the days grow long, but the road seems longer. The lessons learned, so I'm getting stronger. I'm prone to learn, but I'm getting older now. 'Cause I got 24 hours and not enough time to get it right. Oh, I've broken my stride and swallowed my pride too many times. And I wonder, will my change ever come? 'Cause I got 24 hours and not enough time to get it right.
So you guys were doing a few months of these shows, and all of a sudden the site hits a year old.
Yeah.
What did that feel like to realize that, this thing that you started sort of as a, personal kind of passion project had morphed into that in a year's time?
Black Opry is a time warp. I don't know what we have done, but there's no way it's only been a year and a half. Just the amount of support that we've been able to garner. I mean, we had, for our 1-year anniversary, it was really important to me that we had an opportunity to celebrate ourselves If you look at, all of the major country music award shows, you do not see Black faces. And so I wanted them to have a space where they could get dressed up and feel dignified as artists and, come into a space and be respected. We booked it at City Winery, and CMT has just been so, so, so good to us. Leslie Fram over there has just advocated for us in ways that I would not have been able to imagine. So she partnered with us. We packed out City Winery. We put on ball gowns, and we had a red carpet, and NBC showed up, and CMT Hot 20 showed up, and it was so special to see them get treated the way that they deserve to be treated as artists.
Everyone here played that show, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We packed in 15 artists into an hour and a half somehow. It
And-
was like country music Tetris.
One, one of the people who she opened the show was Frankie Staten,
Yes.
who I know, in addition to Reese, has been just an absolute resource for you. She was at the Black Opry House during Americana Fest. There's a YouTube video that I dug up of her speaking to all of you, and it's incredibly beautiful because she's speaking all this wisdom. I want you to tell it.
So back in the 1990s, Frankie Staten, along with Cleve Francis, they're both Black country singers, they founded the Black Country Music Association. And, they were showing up at CMA Fest and getting booths, and they would hand out their little cards, and people would just crumble them up and throw them away. They would, try to book showcases, and as they're walking out the back, people are calling them the N-word. And they fought so, so hard to make a change in this industry. And so I feel like she laid the groundwork. Well, I know she laid the groundwork for all of the work that I'm doing. The only difference between the work that she did and what I'm doing is I have social media. So, if you walk into a physical space, you are at the mercy of the people that are in that room. I can yell at whoever will listen on the internet. And that's made it really easy for me to find people that are open and willing to what we're doing. But, Frankie got to the house, and that was for our brunch, and it was probably about 50 people in that house, and half of them were Black country music artists. And she just kept tearing up, and we said, come and tell us what's going on, what are you feeling? And so she talked for about 45 minutes, and she just kind of looked around, and she said, I've been doing this for 40 years, and I never thought I would see this. And she continues to live in awe of these artists, which is so beautiful to me, because sometimes that generational divide can create a gap that is hard to overcome. But we make sure that we include her in everything that we do. I put her in as many shows as I can get her on, that she'll come play with us, and they are always so open to learning from her, and she is always so excited to work with them. It's been such a beautiful relationship.
Jet Holden, who might be here, I don't know, is one of the first artists that Holly kind of found for Black Opry. But he said something at your panel yesterday about how this organization hasn't just shown him that there are other people like him doing this now. It's shown him that there are people beyond, Charlie Pride and Kane Brown and sort of the few very famous faces doing it also. And I think that's why having Frankie there is so important too.
There was a woman that came to our panel yesterday that had played one of Frankie's shows with the Black Country Music Association 22 years ago. And I invited her to come and be in community with us. We got the house again, so we've been jamming and hanging out. And so I invited her to please come and share space with us, and she did. And last night she got up there with Jet Holden, actually,
Awesome.
and she sung a song for the first time in years. And she just she walked outside and cried, because she had been fighting and working so hard to do exactly what we're doing. And so it's just finding your people. It's really special.
So going back to that anniversary show, next to Nikki is Julie Williams. So she's a Louisiana native, and she signed her first record deal when she was at Duke University with their student-run Small Town Records label. She moved to Nashville after graduating in 2019. She started playing the Monday night Song Suffragette all-women artist round regularly, and she is a member of Reese Palmer's Color Me Country class of 2021. So again, I'm going to hand it over to Holly and kind of let you guys talk through. Julie, what was it like to see everyone together at that anniversary show? What's your experience been? Walk us through that.
Yeah, tell us about what the anniversary show was like for you.
I mean, it was so much fun. The first of just getting dressed up like in black tie. It was a black tie gala, and that was just the coolest thing ever. I felt like I was going to prom, but it was like black prom. And well, I didn't know at first that we were going to have to dress up. And I think it was Tanner was saying something about how everyone was showing up. I was like, oh, is this like, are we dressing up? And he's like, it's a black tie gala. And I'm like, oh shoot, I have to put myself together. But it was just, I mean, it was beautiful just seeing everybody, as you said, just looking so beautiful and so happy, and just the energy in that space. I got to bring my Mima, my grandma's sister, who has lived in Nashville since the 70s and in Tennessee for the 70s, and she's from Louisiana. And I mean, for her, I brought her backstage to meet everybody, and she was just in awe. She's like, this has never happened before in this city. Like, I have been in this city for so long, and this is so historic. And she kept just repeating that of how historic it was, and she was just so grateful to just be in community and just sit there in the back and like be the resident Mima of the green room. She just had the best time, and I mean, even just to experience that with her, with everybody, was something that I will never forget.
What would you like to see in the future? Like, what are some dreams you got for some things we can do?
For me?
For all of us.
For all of
the
us?
Community.
I mean, I would love for Black Opry to have the same name recognition as anyone. When you say the Grand Ole Opry, or you see CMA or CMT as being one of those incredible institutions of Nashville and of country music, and for people to know that if they come to Black Opry, that there's a path for them as an artist, that they have those opportunities, they have community, they have safety, I think, is something that is huge. And I just wish, I wish that for everyone who comes in contact with Black Opry. And I think I want, as you said, I want all of us to be booked and busy. I want us to be doing things. I want us to be making money. I want us to be writing songs of our stories, and I want people to hear them, and I want young people to see us and hear us. Because as you said, like, we all grew up listening to country music, but we never necessarily saw somebody who looked like us, or maybe one or two. And so I think it's my goal as an artist, and I think, as we come into the light, there's going to be so many people that see themselves and, want to be themselves as they are. And whether that's a country music artist or just like this amazing queer kid from the South, like just to be themselves. And I think Black Opry has this incredible opportunity to do that, because that's just what we're trying to do. That's one thing. We always inspire each other, as you said, of like what songs. Sometimes you go up with the plan and then you're like, nope, never mind. This is what I need to play today. And I thought, I'm like, I'll play this one. So since I did the most recent one that I have written, I thought I would do the first song that I released in Nashville. And it's a song of mine that's called Southern Curls. And it's about the hair on my head that I love now, but it took me a while to learn to love myself as myself. And I think that there are many folks, as we mentioned, who come into the Black Opry family from all walks of life that have had experiences of having to fight to love themselves or to get the world to love them too. And so this song is about that. And I thought I would just do it because I think this is recorded. So if, I just want to be having a song that's about black hair immortalized in the Country Music Hall of Fame or whatever. So I was like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. Southern baby, bow tied, big girl, white-eyed, new way shoes. My
kiss me and send me off to school. For my first day at a new place, Daddy held my hand and walked me down the hallway. Then he waved and said they'll love you. But not all Southern girls are met with open doors. Some of us are looked down on before we're even born. Curls are too tight, skin is too dark to feel beautiful just as we are. I'm a Southern girl with the wrong kind of Southern curls, with the wrong kind of Southern curls. Newly 15, lipstick sneaking, mama's high-heeled shoes. Off to my first school dance, will I get my first kiss too? Was on cloud 9 till I heard my biggest crush tell me I'd have better luck with my own kind. And I cried 'cause I knew not all Southern girls are met with open doors. Some of us are looked down on before we're even born. Curls are too tight, skin is too dark to feel beautiful just as we are. I'm a Southern girl with the wrong kind of Southern curls, with the wrong kind of Southern curls. Wish I could tell that bow-tied girl that feels alone inside this world she's gonna be okay. The times are changing, but the world still tries to pull me down. I've had to fight to love myself. Sometimes it feels like I can't breathe. I fight so no one has to feel that anymore. "23 in Music City with dreams and high-heeled boots, singing for a crowd of blue eyes. Will they want me to? But all those mean words that ruled my world don't make me feel like less than anymore, because I know that I glow and so do you. Not all Southern girls are met with open doors, but all of us are beautiful from the moment we are born. Curls aren't too tight, skin ain't too dark. We are beautiful just as we are. We are Southern girls with our own kind of Southern curls, with our own kind of Southern curls, with our own kind of Southern curls.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
SXM. So speaking of being booked and busy, you in July brought a contingent of people to Newport Folk Festival.
That was so much fun.
Just tell me about how that came about, because I know it happened early. You getting the ask happened pretty early in things.
They asked me to put together a set for Newport before we had even, I had booked 2 shows at the time. And the reason that I was able to do that is because there is an artist named Allison Russell.
Just casual.
Who just won some
Americana winning Allison Russell.
She played Newport in 2021. And she, brought out Shaka Khan very casually, and but they just had this huge moment at Newport, and she called Jay Sweet, who's a director, and told him to call me, and he did. And that's again speaks to how easy it is to give somebody else an opportunity. It's easy as saying somebody's name in a room. She has just been so good to us as well. And so they called me, and for some reason, trusted me very early on to do that. Luckily, I was able to deliver. I took 8 artists. We had, oh gosh, it tested me. We had Kentucky Gentlemen, who are here with us, Autumn Nicholas, who's here in the audience. We have Joy Lodikin, Buffalo Nichols, Julia Cannon. Who else was there? Twins? Chris Pierce. I think that was it. And Lizzie No, yes. So we had all of those artists there. And Leon Timbo. And it was just so fun watching. Like, Newport is such a collaborative environment. So after we did our set, I could not keep track of them for the rest of the time because all the artists were coming and grabbing them to come and perform with them. Even, like, we were sound checking, and the Kentucky Gentlemen just did a little a cappella thing, sound check, and people were standing up and, like, they got a standing ovation for their sound check. 30 seconds of a song. And so, like, to be able to take them to something that is that big and get just such a good reception. We got covered in Rolling Stone a few times the week after that, and there's so many other publications that I don't even remember. And Virginia's phone was ringing off the hook after that, and I think we probably booked about 5 or 6 other festivals in the week after that, just based off of how well they did there.
Yeah. So Kentucky Gentlemen, on the very end over there, are twin brothers, Brandon and Derek Campbell. They are surprising here from Kentucky. They released their debut EP earlier this year. I'd love to hear from you guys about that experience and, kind of your experience with the Black Opry so far.
Newport was just this beautiful whirlwind that just after our performance getting added to Beatles tributes, and I think we performed, like, we were initially supposed to just perform once, and I think I ended up performing 4 times on, like, 4 different stages. It was, it's still over my head, but it was such a warm hug that I didn't know what to expect there, so we were like, let's just go with no expectations, and we've just got our family here with us, and we're gonna make the most of it. It could not have gone better.
So in the back of Newport, like where the artists are, the backstage area, they have this artist tent. And after the festival is over, all of the artists go into the artist tent, and there's a little stage. And they have this really, really cool jam. See, this is why I do this, because there's no other reason I would have been in that room. And so I got to watch, like, all of the artists come in there and do that. And the guy who was directing it came up, and he was like, we got to get your people up there. And the twins were, like, right by me. And I was like, they can go up. And they went up and sang Tennessee Whiskey. And the room, like, fell apart. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I think I got the spirit in that. During that
100%. It's like the only thing I remember is dropping down to my knees and hitting a falsetto note.
Oh yeah, there's nothing more beautiful than when a room full of people, whether it was the folks in that room, the hundreds of folks in that room, or the thousands of folks that were in the audience earlier, just all there because we love music and we love what it does to our spirits and our bodies. And the Tennessee Whiskey moment was the definition of that.
It's on YouTube.
It was wild.
Isn't it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, yeah.
Go check that
out. What are you going to sing for us today?
I'm going to sing a song called Vintage Lover. It should be out.
This is the sound check song that got them the standing ovation.
So if I don't get a standing O.
The pressure is on.
Have you ever seen the stars? Have you really seen them? Handcrafted by God. And I've been thinking, you're that kind of timeless, baby. You're my favorite old soul. You're a little bit of heaven, baby. A little more rock and roll. You're my vintage lover, like champagne and gold. Oh, there'll never be another. Oh, never gets old. Slip off that vinyl cover. Ain't going out of style. You're my vintage lover. Won't you stay a little while? yeah. Listen, it took a lot of time to find you. I was looking everywhere. They don't make them like you anymore. Nobody else can compare. 'Cause you're that kind of timeless, baby. You're my favorite old soul. You're a little bit of heaven, baby. A little more rock and roll. You're my vintage lover, like champagne and gold. Oh, there'll never be another. Oh, never gets old. Slip off that vinyl cover. Ain't going out of style. You're my vintage lover. Won't you stay a little while? Yeah. So you sip your old-fashioned, baby, and I'll sip my red wine. You're my heart of the ocean, baby, flowing till the end of time. You're my vintage lover, like champagne and gold. Oh, there'll never be another. Oh, never gets old. Slip off that vinyl cover, ain't going out of style. You're my vintage lover. Won't you stay a little while? You're my vintage lover. Won't you stay a little while? You're my vintage lover. Won't you stay a little while?
Thank you.